Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and in this video we're going to be talking about all the brand new Ogre units and characters in Omens of Destruction. There's a fair few, as you can imagine. Brand new Legendary Lord, Legendary Hero, a new type of Lord option, Hero option, and 5 new units. All of which are quite varied because you have flyers, you have big monsters, you have some extra ogres, and some Yhetees too. They all look absolutely awesome as you can see on screen right now. Even the Pigback Riders are something that I wasn't expecting to be useful, but they ended up performing quite well. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and not only that, if you're interested in seeing more content, there's going to be daily videos around 2 to 3 as from today, which is the main embargo drop, and I'll be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges if you want to see some more content. Pop by, say hi, all the usual stuff. But with that being said, what we're going to be doing here is showcasing their stats, showcasing them against some enemies, and just seeing how they perform, talking about my experience with these units as I've been able to play around with them for a decent amount of time just to be able to test them out. There's going to be a lot. But before anything, one thing to note is that the spellcasters for the ogres now have access to all their laws of magic. So you've got the Law of Death, you've got the Law of Beasts, you've got the Law of the Great Maw, and the Law of Heavens too. So make use of all the different types of magic. I know a lot of people are going to be heading towards the Bruiser too, but we're going to be talking about that in just a second. But let's jump into the new units. The first thing is the Paymaster. This is your new generic Lord option. The Paymaster is a support Lord option, very similar to that of the Cathayan Magistrate, essentially. You're going to be buffing up your troops and making them a little bit better, but don't worry, the Paymaster himself is very good at doing damage. He's more than capable of jumping into combat and not dying very quickly. This means that the ogres have 3 different types of lords. The Tyrant, which is very melee focused, the Paymaster, which is support, and then you've got your Slaughtermasters as your spellcasters. Stat-wise, they'd obviously be compared to Tyrants. They're a bit weaker, but they can hold their own. They're pretty similar in some regard. They're obviously not going to be punching that much damage, but it's their buffs that you're keeping them there for. Yet their weapon strength is still pretty damn good. Their melee defense is higher. They are much more defensive. Ultimately, I do think that they're going to be used fairly often, especially now that you've got the variety. People like varied armies. So what we're going to do is just put them one-on-one, a Paymaster versus a Tyrant. The Tyrant does come in with the debuff to actually stop you from using your own buffs for 15 seconds, which is pretty damn good. But you can see that the Paymaster does hold fairly decently. It's not going to be a one-to-one comparison, obviously, but it does mean that, yeah, if you're fighting other ogres, if you're going to play as Greasus, for example, because, yeah, you're going to be dealing with a lot of ogres over there, you feel like you're a bit better off. Any big monsters too, Tamarkan, Grimgore, anything like that, you're going to be fine to fight with a Paymaster. They do make pretty decent lords, and I've been kind of liking them in campaign too, because I can talk about that now. I've been able to play with them on campaign, having a little bit of a mix. I think I'm going with all of them at different times, which I think is a good thing. No mount options for any of them though, which is a bit disappointing. Next is the Bruiser, which is a melee hero. This is a new generic, and it comes with a hand weapon and an Iron Fist. Iron Fists kind of act like shields for the ogres. It's melee focused, it's there to protect your spellcasters, it's something that a lot of people have been asking for, can make your troops unbreakable with an augment, and yeah, pretty good at just sundering enemy armor. The Iron Fist does kind of do a little bit of damage too. The great thing about ogres is their shields are essentially an additional hand weapon. Overall, I like them. I think that they're going to add in a lot more defensive capabilities and aggressive capabilities because I feel like that's something that the ogres have been missing a lot. Hunters are decent heroes, but hunters kind of lack a little bit. So having the very, very popular Bruisers come in is quite nice. We're going to compare them to the Tyrants too, because it's just the hero version of the Lord, and yeah, stat-wise, it's pretty damn good. I think that they are very comparable. Obviously, less damage on the Bruiser, but you do have pretty good stats for a hero. This is like kind of going for an Empire General and Empire Captain. You know what they do it well, and that's going to be the benefit of it. I'm just very happy that we've got Bruisers finally, because it's very much noticeable when you've not been able to have them for about 2 years. But yeah, damage-wise, we're going to be putting them against a Tyrant again, because I feel like that's probably going to be the best way to go. The Tyrant does win, like we're going to just outright say it. However, in most cases, you're not going to be fighting other ogres, are you? The idea here is just to show kind of the level up or something which is equal in terms of rank in some way, shape, or form. It works pretty well in campaign. I've been having them running around in different armies just to be able to hit harder. It is also nice to kind of have them up with the new Maneater units or even with some Iron Guts. All in all, I think that it's going to just really elevate the Ogre campaign a little bit more. But it can do some pretty decent damage against Chaos Warriors with Halberds. So these are an anti-large unit and it's not too bad. Sure, the Bruiser is going to be losing here, but it can hold its own and you're never really going to have the Bruiser by itself. It's just showing that it can be quite durable and dish out a little bit of damage alongside that. It's quite important that they perform well because Ogres are obviously very small entities. You've not got a lot coming out there and you don't want them dying out too quickly. So supporting them is going to be key. Alright, Pigback Riders. Well, I'm not going to lie to you, I originally laughed when they showcased this to us because I didn't think that they would be useful in any way, shape or form. But what you get here is a small unit. Well, technically two, because mounted. But they got spears, they're anti-large, they're expendable too, which is great, because at the end of the day, who cares if the Noblars start dying? But they kinda work quite well. And I'm really, really surprised at that. Their passive ability gives them more leadership and melee defense as long as they have more than 50% HP, which is pretty damn good when you look at it. They're a unit that can be kinda comparable to Clan Rats with spears, maybe more like a buffed up Skaven slave unit, but overall, I think that they do perform really, really well, and I think it's going to be very noticeable when you see them in combat, because, yeah, it's not going to be the most flashiest thing ever, and you're likely not going to be recruiting them much, but in some cases, they can be very helpful. Noblars themselves have been pretty decent in certain circumstances. I think the Trappers are pretty good, but yeah, these are better. And I think a good way to showcase on what they can do in combat is going to be here versus some Chaos Trolls. So, that's not too bad, in all honesty. They hold out for quite a lot of time. They're going to lose because obviously trolls do end up having regeneration, so it keeps them alive a lot longer. But the fact that the Pigback Riders have been able to last for about a minute is really impressive. I was going to showcase them against other ogres and stuff, but I figured maybe against something that can actually just keep on regenerating is quite good. They almost take out the Chaos Trolls, actually. They almost take them out because they almost broke the leadership on that, but eventually, yeah, the Trolls overwhelm them. You can see why I was kind of impressed about these units. Okay, Blood Vultures. So Blood Vultures were never a unit in the tabletop, they were actually just an upgrade. And the fact that they've been turned into a unit with a really strong ability, it's an active ability, an augment that makes them stronger in melee attack and leadership as more entities around them start dying, it makes them pretty damn good. I was really surprised on the implementation, and I do think that they're likely going to get nerfed later down the line. They're similar to the Carrion, but the Carrions have more entities, which usually means more damage, because you've got more entities doing more animations. That's where the damage output is kind of tied to. Stat-wise, pretty similar, though better. And yeah, when they start going into the battlefield, they really do showcase their ability. Again, totally imagining them getting nerfed. They can break, however, but they've got pretty damn good leadership as it stands. Well, we needed a reason to have flyers, right, in the Ogre Kingdoms, and I think that this is going to be a very good reason for it. They have a Vanguard too, which is really, really helpful, and their speed is lovely. So here's a small clip of them fighting against Carrion. I don't think it's a pretty needed clip. They just melt Carrion. It's hilarious. Again, more entities, more damage. I like them though. I feel like they're a very good unit, and they're very noticeable when you use them in campaign. Through custom battles, when you're just basically using them by themselves, they aren't great, but they're very good at attacking from behind or on the flank, getting some damage in. As long as you've got some other stuff killing stuff around, they'll get stronger and then they'll start catching up with the kills. I really do think that the Blood Vultures are going to be a very common unit in armies too. I think the Ogres are eating well in Omens of Destruction, to be honest. They're eating very, very well. Yhetees are a unit that I've been waiting for a long, long time, because I used to love them on the tabletop. So, they're very similar to Trolls, very similar to Gorges in a sense, but the main thing is that they've got a Hex, which reduces enemy speed, and also reduces their melee defense. This makes them a really good anvil unit if you're attacking from the flank. They're very capable on attacking straight onto, so they're going to mix up with your Ogre units with real ease. I like them, I love the design. Because if you remember the old Yeti models, they they look a little bit sickly. These definitely look a lot better. And yeah, they're very similar to that of like Trolls. I think a lot of people are going to be comparing them to Trolls, to be honest. Which stat-wise, they're kind of similar, although the Yeti leadership is what makes them shine. They're not going to just break and run away like Trolls do, which is fantastic. Armor-wise, pretty decent. Speed is pretty good. The fact that its magical attacks also does help out a lot. High weapon strength, pretty good charge bonus. They cause fear, and remember that they're also going to be weak to fire, so you're going to have to be a little bit careful there because there's quite a lot of monsters which do have fire attacks, but overall, Yhetees end up getting quite highly ranked up. We'll do a tier list near the end after the review, I think. They melt Chaos Trolls. They really do hurt them. I think that's going to be a common thing. You're going to see them doing that a lot. Even against Chaos Warriors, they really do hurt. They pack a punch. One of the better performing units in terms of like monstrous infantry. If I sound surprised, it's because I am. I just generally don't like monstrous infantry because they do perform kind of badly. Sometimes it's really good, but yeah, I've never really had good luck with them. These guys really do showcase their absolute potential, and versus Chaos Warriors, pretty good damage overall. Yeah, the Chaos Warriors are going to hurt back because these guys have halberds, but that's why I want to showcase it like that. The halberds are going to be better, but these are going to be able to still hold the line for a fair amount of time. They're going to lose, but the damage will have been done. I'm not willing to risk demonetization, so these guys are called Golg's Maneaters, and yep, Maneaters with additional hand weapons. Very interesting helmets, actually. Very, very interesting helmet. But yeah, they're Maneaters that support other units. They can buff them up with extra melee offense and melee attack. Overall, additional hand weapons is a really good thing for the ogres because they get to put out a lot of damage, and not only that, they're just really helpful. Maneaters are the natural progression for you, so you're going to be fielding these as you start progressing through your campaign. Stat-wise, they're comparable to normal Maneaters, but much more armored, so you're getting kind of like a mix of a Maneater and an Iron Gut, and I think that's what's going to really make them shine here. Vanguard also very, very helpful on Maneater units. The fact that this is a generic unit is going to make them tremendously powerful on the battlefield. Good stats overall. Less melee defense, but who cares when you've got quite a lot of armor there. They're also considered anti-infantry, so yeah, throw them into Chaos Warriors and just let them do their thing. I think that's what really people have been wanting for another Maneater unit. It's nice that we're still getting new Maneater units too, considering that we've had a few as it stands, but getting some extra ones really does help pad out the faction a bit, considering that Maneaters were more hero squads back in the day, but now they've been turned into unit squads. And versus Chaos Warriors, I mean, yeah, the damage is there. It's very, very noticeable. Very, very noticeable. I'm really happy with how they perform, and if you're playing with Golg himself, you're going to be fielding quite a lot of them. Chaos Warriors, these ones just have shields and swords. They're no great weapons or halberds or anything, but the idea is I just wanted to showcase them getting ripped to shreds, because that's always fun. This is what you do in Warhammer, right? And we're at the last generic unit now. This is the Thundertusk, and I know a lot of people were excited for this one. It's going to be kind of similar to the Stonehorn, but also very different. You see, the Thundertusk is a moving platform, so you can fire with it. Not only do you have the harpoon, but you have a... I don't know how to explain it. Kind of like a Pokemon type of an attack. It's really weird. You'll see it in just a second, right? But it makes it long range, it's also good at melee, and you'll be reducing the enemy speed as they get closer to you. This allows you to have another monstrous cavalry unit, and unfortunately, it's not a mount option, which really does suck. I know a lot of people were hoping that this would be used by the hunters too. You never know for the future. I have asked, like, Creative Assembly, you know, I provided some feedback, because these types of things would be awesome mounts, I think. Stat-wise, it's quite comparable to that of the Stonehorn with the harpoon launcher, though it's got a better harpoon for the harpoon launcher. I think it's really decent. It's better at melee attacks, that's for sure, and you will see it when you get to see the battle showcase in just a second. You're going to want to use both. I think that having both in armies does work perfectly fine, but it does depend on how you tailor your own forces. It's good against dealing against other monsters, it's good against dealing against hordes. The harpoon is semi-decent, actually. Well, it's a crossbow thing, but you know what I mean. And yeah, the big attack is just like, it's like a Pokemon attack. It just literally looks like a Pokemon attack. It has not a great payload, but it does slow down the enemy. It could probably be better against some maybe bigger monsters, but when it gets right in there to melee, it really starts to shine. And you get a lot of fun animations with it. I actually really like it. Not a lot of the same to the Stonehorn, barring some reused assets and so on, but it kind of makes sense considering that this is from the same tabletop kit. What I have found very strange is it does outperform the Stonehorn in combat. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, because, I mean, well, you can see it on screen right now. It really does damage it barely any damage towards the Thundertusk. The Thundertusk is killing off the animations for the Stonehorn. I don't know. This is likely going to get like changed around during a patch update, you know, because it feels like it. Okay, we're at the legendary characters now, with the first being Bragg the Gutsman. This is your legendary hero, and basically he's a character killer. He's good at killing off characters, he's your character hunter. He's even got an execution, which will come into effect as the enemy starts going down to, I believe it was 20%. You got an augment just to make yourself even stronger there. He's pretty cool. One of the best designs in terms of just ogres. I think a lot of people love his old miniature too, despite the fact that it was metal. And, I mean, it's Bragg the Gutsman, right? There was no better option for a legendary hero, I think. And in melee, it performs incredibly well. So you'll be fighting against a tyrant here, and yeah, no problems whatsoever. In some cases, like early on in the combat here, my augment was not able to be used because that's what the tyrant does, and I wanted to leave all the abilities there. He can hit very hard. He hits a lot harder in campaign when you start upgrading him with different skills. It's just a matter of time. When it comes to just custom battles, you're not got the benefit of all the different skills and maybe any extra upgrades that you can pick up, like special items and so on. But yeah, man, like no complaints whatsoever. I'm super happy with him as a legendary hero choice, and I think it's going to make the ogres a lot more fun. I've been using him in a campaign with Greasus, because I was pushing up, and then Tamilkon caused me problems, and Grimgor were causing me problems at the same time. And yeah, no problems. Like, he took out Grimgor after a while. And lastly, our legendary lord, Golg Maneater. I am not using his full name, by the way, because I do not want to get demonetized, as YouTube is a bit finicky with that, and I imagine a lot of creators will be avoiding it the exact same way. But yeah, melee lord, additional hand weapons. He's got a shot too, so he can actually shoot for a while. Well, it's just an ability, but you can get a decent amount of damage there. He's good at fighting. And funny enough, by the way, when you click on him, he actually goes like, you know, the original Dog of War. So it's kind of nice to see a reference to the Dogs of War there. Take that as you will. Yeah, overall, this is going to be a fun character for you to use in terms of combat. I think that he does perform very, very well. He actually puts a tyrant to shame, which is really, really funny. The shot is pretty damn cool. You get a nice animation for that too. He's very animated, possibly more than anyone else in terms of legendary lords. I feel like the developers went and just had a lot of fun with him, which is really, really nice, because you expect such a famous character to have that type of life breathed into him. Damage-wise, phenomenal. I think you guys are going to enjoy his campaign too. It won't be too long until I can show him off in campaign. Yeah, I mean, no complaints. No complaints. It was either him or Gark, and I think Golg is a better option considering how famous he is, that even Games Workshop keep referencing him in different types of lore and so on. His design is phenomenal too. I'm just really happy. I think this is a character that a lot of people wanted. It just sucks that you can't say his proper name on YouTube. But those are the new additions to the Ogre Kingdoms in Omens of Destruction. What do you guys think about these units? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. There are loads of videos coming out this week. There's a very short window span, to the point that I've not been sleeping, so I can actually make sure that I've got everything up and running. But daily videos, 2 to 4 videos a day. Streams over at twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. So pop by, say hi. We're going to be doing battle testing today. Tomorrow, I don't think there's going to be any streams, but the next day is going to be FLC stuff. I can show off Arbal. There is a lot of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Ogre units. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. I need another coffee. Bye.